Hello, this is Jordan Adams from the Visual Digital Arts. We're gonna do something a little different today. As you know, my channel I usually do like time lapses where I just do a time lapse of me modeling or sculpting or whatnot, and I just put some music over it or whatnot. But we're gonna do something a little different today. I found this video. It's old. Bunch of months old. Bunch of months old. It's a Warhammer 40k modding session. I was making weapons for it. All that you can see, all the weapons are done except for the what do you call it? You got the last pistol and the last gun or whatnot, and plasma sword. Plasma sword. There you go. Yeah, there it is. All right. Yeah. So I'm not doing this live. This is an old video, like I said. And I'm about to start working with the power sword. I think plasma sword. It's power sword. Anyways, it's been a while. So everything's already been baked, as you can see. It's like I'm baking it, rebaking it again. I don't know why. It's been a while, so I have no idea what I'm doing. Yeah, there you go. So, I'll just go through the process of me basically making the item. Hopefully you get something out of it. Maybe you won't. We'll see. Alright, so there we go. Substance Painter bakes it. Substance Painter is really good at baking stuff. As you can see, a couple of presses of a button and it's all done. I used to try to bake stuff in other programs, and you'd always have to bake stuff 30 times before you get it right. I think only a few times I actually had trouble. I think it was like a flag or something, or a banner. But that was only because I only had like one face or something. Yeah, it was weird. Yeah. So right now I'm just kind of putting together my materials. I like to start with the ambient occlusion map because it looks cool, that black and white map. And then on this piece, I think I added like an extra normal map over the normals, so the normals were like twice as intense, just so I get all the detail of the wings and the skull. Because Substance Painter, when you bake it, will automatically add, the normal to your piece, and yeah. Alright, so it looks like what I'm doing right now is I'm kind of looking at the materials and trying to figure out, it looks like you got some leather, brass, and then you got steel. So I'm kind of figuring out, what I'm going to call them. So you can see I made those 3 folders on the right, on the layers panel. There you go. Yep, see, blade. Let's see who's going to do brass. I mean, we'll call it brass. Let's see. I'm thinking about it. There you go. Yep, brass. Yep. And leather. Probably leather. Or handle. Yep. Okay. I knew it was handle. I said handle. Okay. Anyways. There we go. So it's like I'm putting down the base blade color. And with these pieces, I'm kind of going for like a kind of like hand painted look a little bit with a little bit of material. Because if you look at like all the Warhammer tabletop stuff, usually it's like hand painted. So I went for kind of like a Warhammer, not Warhammer, World of Warcraft hand painted kind of, but a little bit more realistic, if you could call it that. I am gonna work some of the specular stuff, but I usually do that last. So it's all going to be, painted on. Most of the details going to be painted on. And as you can see, as I use I usually use full like what do you call them, material, like a fill material. That's what's called. Yeah, fill material. I usually use fill material with mask because it's very helpful when you want to change the color of stuff. And in the layers panel, you'll see I'll have an alternate blade color. So I usually put down the base blade when making iron. I usually put down the base blade color, and then I get like a lighter base blade color, and then I put like a smart mask. It looks like I'm using the edges scratches. So all the sharp edges, it kind of well, you'll see me working with the wear levels right here. Sorry if I ramble a little bit. Like I said, this is live. It's well, it's not live, but it is live. I'm talking live, but I already made this stuff. I have a very hard time talking and work at the same time, so maybe later on I'll make some tutorials where I'm actually doing everything live, the voiceover and everything. We'll see. Anyways, like you see, I got rid of the specular and normal and all that. I just left diffuse because, like I said, I'm painting everything on first using mask and fill layers. And sometimes you gotta go in. I usually, like as you can see with the iron, you make a dark and then a light, and then from variation, and I usually go in and hand paint the very light stuff on top. It gives it a nice shine, as you can see. Yeah, I'm just testing out, making sure that it's symmetrical, so I don't paint the whole thing and then have to paint it all over again. So there I go, just highlighting the blade. Yeah, making these props, it was really fun. I remember at the time it was really fun making them. Warhammer is a very cool property to make anything for. I love like the hand painted aspect to everything, but then also it's real realistic. There you go, just highlighting the blade. And as you can see, it looks like it's maybe a little bit too strong, but with the fill layers, you can change the color and you can also change the opacity, so you can make it blend all good. You may see me during the video kind of painting and drawing, and the line's not straight. As you can see, I'm looking. That line is definitely not straight, but in Warband, don't worry about it because it kind of muddies up the texture once you get it into the engine. So I'm not worried about it. Plus, time is kind of the essence when I'm making stuff like this for Warband. Can't wait for Bannerlord though. I really hope Bannerlord comes out this year. Kind of off topic, but whatever. So there we go. I'm actually looking at looks like I'm looking at the specular now. Now that I got the blade all textured up pretty close, I'm just kind of looking at the textures. Or not texture, the specular, sorry. The alt, as you can see, I kind of left the alt as it's not using the specular for the alt. The light blade stuff, I usually just give it a little lighter, specular. I like my metal to have variation. It's not a piece of glass. Metal has dark specular spots and light specular spots. Well, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but it looks good in game. Hmm. Look at the bottom right. You can see my NVIDIA GeForce game driver is ready. Hmm. Ooh, looks like I'm working on the brass. Same thing. I make a base material for the brass, and then you go with an alternate, and then I usually go with a light. This may or may not be the way to do it, but it seems to work for the stuff I make for Warband. There I am, just assigning the materials using a mask. Yeah, if you're making stuff for games and you don't have Substance Painter, I don't know what you're doing. Like, I'm not, and I'm not calling myself a professional or any right, but when I first opened up Substance Painter, it, it blew my mind. To be honest, how easy it was. I feel sorry for people that used to have to make stuff for games back then. So there we go. Make an alternate layer. I love using these smart masks as well. It's kind of cheating, but well, you could say it's cheating, but it's like I'm trying to make a whole bunch of props. You know, it's gonna look like that anyways. If I paint it by hand, it's gonna look pretty much the same as if I use smart mask. So I might as well just use a smart mask. So maybe it's cheating, maybe it's not. It's digital art, you know. So there you go. As you can see, cool thing about these smart masks is you can, well, you can change them up. I think you can make smart mask in Substance Designer, Substance Painter's uh, Big Brother program. I think you can make smart mask. I gotta figure that out. I've been learning Substance Designer on the side. I'm making buildings, so I'm trying to use that to make buildings, and then use Substance Painter for small props and stuff where I gotta paint stuff by hand. Here I'm just trying to figure out how to use the mask because you can do all sorts of things with these masks. It's great. Like I said, like as you can see, I inverted it. I don't know if you saw that. I inverted it and it got all the alternate color inside the cracks around the wings, as you can see, automatic. Because my thought on that is, you got like cracks. Well, the cracks usually have like grime and stuff, so in the shadow, of course. So it's gonna be darker. Not that dark. As you see, I'm changing down the opacity. Very easy. And just kind of testing all the parameters. Color dodge. I love color dodge. Yeah, I like putting on color dodge when I try to get the light because it'll take the color and change the lightness of it based on the whiteness of the color you have. If that makes any sense. You can see, yeah, I have white on the at the light. As you see on the right, I have a white fill layer. But if you put it in color dodge, it makes it like kind of it just kind of takes all the colors and makes it lighter on the bottom. And if you want it even brighter, you can change the whiteness of the white, and it'll make the color brighter. Put it on pure white though. It will. I think it blows that out. It makes it pure white as well. So you can see hand painting everything in. But since I'm using fill layers, I can always just, you know, I can change the color. It's awesome. I'm pretty sure you can do the same thing in Photoshop. Now that I think about it, you know, with the mask. But it's a lot easier and it's up with this painter. That seems a little bright, I think. I'm looking at this now, but maybe I pull it off somehow later. I don't know if you can hear that. My dog's barking. Alba. Great Pyrenees. I love putting the highlights on items, just like this, and that's what I love about making Warhammer props. That painterly feel you get with them. But like again, like I said, this is for Mountain Blade Warband. You don't have to be that tight with all your lines and stuff. It can be a little loose because a lot of it's going to be hidden by the specular map in game, and also, like I said, Warband it blows out all your textures, makes it all muddy, kind of blends it all together. I don't know if you see it on the left of where I on the blade next to the iron. Um, that dark kind of line. That's from the baking of the 8-bit occlusion map. Again, I'm not too worried about it. I usually would clean it up. If it was a different circumstance, I would probably clean that up. But it's Warband, so don't worry about it. Huh. You know, I'm looking at this in hindsight. I probably should have made that edge I'm painting on. Probably should have made it skinnier. Hindsight's 2020, I guess. Or maybe that's all right because I mean, it's a you don't want that edge to be sharp because like if you block, your hand cuts into. Never mind. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. I guess I thought about it more than I thought. I'm trying to think of things to say. I mean, at this point, it's not much to say because it's just kind of me just putting highlights on, just like the iron. Hmm. I'm looking at me. I just erase that, that little highlight that came up a little bit too strong. Usually, I wouldn't even mess with that. I don't know why I did it here. I mean, because it's Warband. contemplating whether to leave this in. I guess I might leave it in. Just someone might get something out of it. It's just kind of repetitive at this point. Get some drink going. This is going on. Yeah, so I mean, like, share this video and give it some likes. If you like this style, I'll make more tutorials, or at least just leave some feedback as well. See if I'm actually doing this right, tutorial right. Not sure if I'll call this actually a tutorial. It's probably something else. A walkthrough. Is that what you would call it? A walkthrough? Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. Alright, that was weird. My Adobe Premiere crashed. Well, not even really crashed. It kind of slowed down on me, and I had to stop it. But we're back. The power editing, you probably didn't even notice. I don't know. Maybe you did. Just keep texturing. Well, you know, this is the part where everybody kind of is going to be looking at in the game. So you got to make sure you get the skull right. That's why I'm taking this long. I don't know. Maybe I'm not taking long enough time with this. I have no really point of reference on how long something like this actually takes for a normal artist. I'm not sure, so maybe I'm taking way too short of a time. Alright. Looks like I'm done with the actual sword. No, the skull part. What do you call it? Not the pommel. The guard. Looks like I'm done with the guard. I'm kind of going on doing stuff on the pommel. In Warband, usually I don't take very long on the pommel. Nobody really cares about the pommel. I mean, as long as it's there, nobody really cares. You're not going to see any of this in game. You're going to feel it, but you're not going to see it. If that makes any sense. Look at that. You see me messing with the glossiness of it. I usually don't even use. You can't use gloss inside of inside a warband. So I'm kind of guessing what's going to look like. But at this point, I kind of know what I need. These, I see I made the dark spots. I made them not as bright as light spots. Makes it look real crisp, clean. Alright, looks like I'm making the leather. Yep, I'm on to the leather. I don't know if I said this, but I actually do have reference on my second screen. I'm kind of going off of that. This Powersword is like a mix of a couple of styles I found. It's not really any particular um, style of Powersword. So I'm just trying to find the leather color. It's like you can see it's like a reddish orange. Yeah. Yeah, always have reference. It always helps. Though I don't always do it, and it always hurts me. Always have reference. Kids, always have reference. Just making the alternate color. Trying to find which mask to use. Just kind of looking at it. I'm not sure if this took me a while to do. Sometimes I get like it's kind of hard to figure out what mask to use, especially for like cloth. It's kind of hard to figure that out. But once you find that mask, I mean, it's like a light bulb goes off. You know exactly what to do. But until then, you're kind of taking shots in the dark. Yeah. These masks, they use, many of you probably already know this, but these masks use the curvature in AO that Substance Painter generates when you bake the mesh, and it's automatically assigned to that said mesh. So all you gotta do is just put your smart mask on it. And some of them use like the world space normal and the thickness maps. But again, you don't have to worry about it. All you have to do is just uh, bake it on. And I'm pretty sure you can bake stuff without even like you can bake the AO and the curvature and the thickness and all that. I think maybe not the thickness, but you don't have to have a high mesh, to bake the information so that the mask actually work. I think you can take like a cube with round edges, bake it, and it'll give you curvature and ambient occlusion if you have holes in it or something, and then you can use that to use the smart mask. So whether or not you use high poly mesh or no, it's up to you. I'm pretty sure most of the information. Yeah, there you go. See, I'm making some noise for the leather. Trying to figure out, what. I'm trying to filter. Is that what they're called? I am not sure what they're called. I gotta look that up. Well, I know it. It's to my tongue. I just can't remember what you call them. It's not a filter. Mode. Is that what it's called? Mode? Maybe? I don't know. Next tutorial, I'll have it figured out. That was pretty close. Another cool thing, you can add effects to it, like levels. Like I'm working with the levels to try to get different result from the procedural texture I just put on to make the leather. I think it looks like I figured it out. I can't remember. It's been a while since I did this. There I am using the color dodge mode for the light part of the texture. This isn't a specular. It doesn't have any specular. Well, leather has a little bit of specularity, but it's not a lot. You don't want it to be like metal, so you gotta put it in very lightly. As you can see, even though it's white, it's picking up those colors. It's not washing them out. So I'm using the color dodge mode. That bake is not very good, but your hand's gonna be covering it the whole time in game. Yeah. I'm not too happy with these bakes I'm seeing on this mesh, but time was of the essence in this case, so I'll let it slide. It was more important to get it in the game. There you go. I'm just adding some lightness to some variation lightness to the leather. It's like where someone like rubbed their hand or whatnot across it, kind of wore it out the leather. I mean, yeah. Now this light may not be correct physically, but it works. In game at least. think I'm done with texturing it mostly. I'm just changing the leather specular. I am actually. I'm not bringing it all the way down. As you see, the base. Let me take that back. The leather does have a little bit of specular to it. So I don't know if you saw it, but I didn't take all of the specularity away. It's almost black, but a little bit of specular. I'm pretty sure in leather, the worn out stuff is very flat, and then the stuff that's new on leather is usually has a lot of specular. Well, not a lot, but the most specularity. Not that you're gonna see it in game. I mean, come on, this is Mountain Blade Warband. I have no idea what I'm doing here. Oh, okay. I'm kind of changing I wasn't happy with the alternate leather color. And cool thing about Selfless Painter, all you got to worry about is not getting the exact, color after you change it. It's like I went with a darker color. There we go. That's starting to look good. Okay. Looks like I'm checking my reference. Not that the reference, I'm going off the reference completely. I think I'm going to add my blue blade color. Oh, no, I'm adding grunge. Later on, I do add the blue to the blade to make it more power-ish. Yeah, so after I kind of get the base textures, I like to go all over it with like a either shadow. I like to paint some of the shadow into the texture, but for Warband, like an AO, and kind of just go over the whole thing, and it kind of brings in, it's like a bridge between all the different materials. Yeah, it's like a bridge or cover. Kind of wraps it all up together nicely. So you can see it's probably not correct, but I like painting my shadows in. It just looks better in the Warband engine, especially when you have kind of dark shadows on the stuff. Well, to me it does. Maybe it does look good to everybody else, but to me it looks better when you have the dark shadows. I'm using a mold brush. I do have I don't know if you can see at the top of the shelf, on the top left, the ambient AO brushes. I use those almost all the time for shadow and, excuse me, for shadow and ambient occlusion, or for blending and stuff. There we go. So just adding a little bit. And maybe you don't like the shadow. I mean, But like I said, Warband to me it looks better. If I was gonna paint shadow though, I think I've been doing research on it. I think like using maybe a purple for shadow would probably be better. I think they do that in like World of Warcraft and stuff. They like the shadow, of course, isn't black. No, I think in real world, the rule is no shadows aren't really black per se. But in Warband, it works out. So there you go. So I'm just kind of like enhancing my AO map. I'm looking at this. It looks like I made the grunge kind of brown. So I guess I kind of knew at the time not to make it totally black. The shadow's totally black. Hmm. Like I said, I'm not expert on everything. I only know this. I'm just kind of learning myself. Any tips and suggestions, leave it below in the comments. For me and others to see. Very helpful. Especially to me. Yeah. What I'm doing here in Substance Painter is I'm barely touching the surface. What a Substance Painter can do. It's like he has some bleed through. I had some bleed through with my shadow. That happens when you're sometimes when your what's the word, faces are too close together. You get some bleed through on the other side. If I was smart, there's some like you can turn on back face culling, uh, kind of middle right. If you look at the brush palette, back face culling. I think that's what you use. And there's other things you can do so that you don't get bleed through. Yeah. Now this grunge layer, like I said, I'm gonna say it again. This grunge layer kind of takes this one color and it kind of blends all the materials together a little bit more, so they're not so like so uh, so different from each other. Gives them something in common. Because you never want your textures, to look like you got your leather, your iron, and your brass. You don't want to look like they come from different models, and you kind of just stuck them on together. If you know what I mean. All right, some technical difficulties. Recording stopped. It's kind of annoying. But let's continue. So I'm adding some grunge to the blade. I seem to think that this looks pretty good, in especially in Warband engine. Having the blade look like that, I don't know. To me, it just looks a little sharper. I'm gonna say it again though. I'm not a professional. There's better ways of doing all this, you know. So just look at it this way: you just watched a whole bunch of this video. You know, you didn't waste your time. Either I helped, or I helped you figure out the wrong way. The wrong way not to do it. So there's a right way and wrong way of doing it. You can decide whether or not I did it. I did it or not. If you have suggestions, though, leave suggestions in the comments. You know. What am I doing here? It's like I'm making maybe the little spindle a little different from each other, so we got a little variation. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Yeah. So it pops a little more. I wonder if I keep it. I'm not sure if I even keep it. Yeah. Huh. I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't remember what I did here. Let's see. It looks like I'm just checking to see how that looks. I think you see it looks like, I don't know if you saw that, but I took the spec and put it all the way down. Makes it look real good. Sometimes if you just put grunge map over everything and you leave the spec and have no spec, so like on the blade where you got like, I don't know if I'm saying this right, but the spec will blow out the model a little bit and you won't see the darkness of the grunge. But if you put like the grunge, take the grunge layer and you make it so that it has very little spec or none at all, it really starts to pop out and stand out. You can even just have no diffuse layer and bring down the spec and you'll still see the grunge through the specular map, if that makes any sense. My mindset with this is kind of like a photorealistic, kind of half specular, normal type of way of doing it with the specular map. I think of the specular almost like as a roughness. I kind of treat it like a roughness, if that makes any sense to you. Oh, it looks like I'm adding the blue to the blade. Just looking up on my second monitor, power weapons. The Powersword. Let me just read this thing. Okay, power weapons generally exude a hazy blue colored field or energy that wraps the primary impact region of the melee weapon. So that's what I'm adding to it. I'm adding some green to the blue, because I thought like just adding blue would be kind of boring. This is really where the Powersword starts to look good. That's a little bit too bright, so I think I change it. What am I doing there? I have no idea what's going on there. It's like I'm trying to... yeah, there we go. See, I bring down the opacity on it. Because I don't want it to be like actual blue. I want just, you know, just a little bit of tinge of blue. Oh, look at that specular map. That looks sweet. That's what I always like doing too. You look at the specular map, you kind of tell where you're at. You can really tell what, you know, what your material is going to look like when you look at the specular map. Yeah, so it's not much left. Looking at my timeline. Yeah. So I'm just kind of looking my model over. Swinging it around. Looks pretty good. Pretty good. That will do. Alright guys, well, if you like this style of tutorial or walkthrough, it's not a tutorial, it's a walkthrough. If you like walkthroughs, you know, give me a like. If you don't like them, give me a like. You know, leave some suggestions down below. And I'll see you next time.